In the dark room, a girl's voice chirps from the small lighted device that she is glad to meet him and she is Amasaki Nina, a newcomer streamer. She thanks her audience for coming today to see her first live stream. There were 102 people on the chat. The top comments were from Pepper. They said that they are looking forward to her stream. The one below it compliments her that her voice is cute. The last two were asking what is she going to do on the stream. And a lot of VTubers have appeared recently. It is already saturated. The boy was covered in his blanket in the room lit by the small screen. He tabs on her screen. There is another comment on the screen from Aosan that said, it is the first time he has seen this kind of stream, and he will be rooting for her from now on, so he requests her to do her best. In the stream, Nina mutters in wonder that there is a donation from Aosan. She asks if he meant that he found her stream by chance among all the others. She expresses how happy she is and thanks him for finding him. He utters that he likes her. That day he fell in love with her. The people at the store gossip and ask others if they know him. He simply stood on the counter as the other person answered that he is Miyagi-kun. And they heard that kid used to be a programmer at a big company. The other person curiously asks why is he now working at a convenience store. The other person answers that it appears that he was dumped by his fiancée, and the shock left him with psychological trauma. They comment that it feels like young people these days are unable to work with a broken heart. Miyagi looks at the staff-only sign on the door of the room which the noises are coming from. The other person asks where they heard that. They answered that their niece's boyfriend was at the same company. The other person continues that this kid is 27 and they feel sorry for his parents that he is single and working a part-time job at his age. Miyagi quietly realizes that it is Suzuki-san and Seidou-san from the early religious service. He wonders can't they at least talk about him after he has gone home. Then he looks down and thinks all that is true after all. The girl who dumped him after going out for 4 years had been his senior colleague at work. That became a rumor at the company and he was always feeling like others were laughing at him. He became depressed and quit his job on the doctor's recommendation without being able to properly carry on with his daily life, let alone work. He was living among garbage bags. That was until he met her. And suddenly a loud voice calls out to him. He realizes that it is the owner. She was an old-looking lady with a bubbly smile, teeth all gone. She told him to look at this. She told him that this is what he was looking forward to. She showed him a box that had a poster, few girls with cat ears on their foreheads. He asks if it is okay if he draws one. She says that he is already clocking out and to go ahead and draw one. He drew the ticket that had a QR and instructions attached to it. His prize was the Tanpopo Akari rubber strap. The owner with her bubbly nature asks him if she is the one Miyagi-kun likes. He replies that she is not and he does not know her very well. He says that the one he likes is Amasaki Nina. Nina is a VTuber who made her debut just this year. Her cheerfully spontaneous chat streams have been well received, and she has been repeatedly experiencing rising popularity on social media trends, too. That is true for him as a viewer, too. Thanks to her, he has recovered to the point where he is able to work part-time. He looks at the keychain on his palm which had the chubby version of her drawn on it. In the end, he continued drawing lottery tickets until Nina appeared on one of them. Despite running out of money for that month already, the rent, he has to pay it all the same. He guesses he will postpone paying the water bill. He walks by a park and thinks that girl is here today, too. A girl with long hair was sitting on the park bench. He wonders if she is a student and why she has been here without going to school during the daytime. He muses if she runs away from home or something. The girl turned her head to where he was standing a few minutes ago, but he had taken off. He thinks that was close. If he makes eye contact with a girl that young, he thinks that he will definitely be reported as a pervert. He knows that he was not particularly looking at her with any guilty feelings, but he bets he would unilaterally be found at fault anyway, despite not wanting to feel like that ever again. He did not feel guilty while looking at her because he did not harbor any ill intentions or ulterior motives. He remembers the feeling of people looking at him with ugly smiles. Suddenly a girlish voice calls out to him from behind. He turns boredly at her. He meets with familiar sparkly eyes and a smile with a tiny fang. She showed her his Nina keychain in one of her hands and she said that he had dropped it. He immediately freaks out at the sight of her, thinking this is bad. She mischievously asks him if she was wrong for this to be picked up by her of all people. He stammers and tells her that this is his and apologizes for troubling her. He thanks her and rushes to leave. She looks at his retreating figure in confusion. He wonders if did she perhaps notice she was looking at her. He thinks if that is the case, this is all the more terrible. He reaches his front door and snags his pockets. He stands there a little too long, dreadfully wondering if he lost his house keys. He pulls out the phone, deciding that he will call the property management company, and of course his phone is dead. The familiar voice calls out to him again. She asks him if he is perhaps in trouble. He turns to find her outside the wall of his apartment. She looks at him curiously while he looks at her with troubling expression. They both sat on the bench near the sidewalk as he called someone to help with his apartment situation. He hands her the phone and thanks her without meeting her eye. She says that it is no problem and takes her phone. He starts to leave after uttering a small bye, but she calls behind him asking if he is leaving already. She points out that he is free until the person from the property management company comes. She tells him to be her talking companion. He turns towards her but looks away nervously. When he does not move, she urges him to do it as a thanks for lending him her phone. He finally sits down after that, saying that she has been around here frequently recently, and takes his chance to ask if she run away from home. She tells him that he is right and that she fought with her parents. He muses, judging by this, she did not seem to have noticed that he was watching her earlier. What a relief, he thinks. She tells him that at first, she was killing time at internet cafes or karaoke, but everywhere is all kinds of noisy when night falls. She turns to him and says rather than talking about that, she calls him Oni-san. She asks if he likes VTubers. He flusters when she says that the rubber strap from earlier is part of the number 100 lotteries that were released for sale today. She playfully says that he looks like the kind of person who enjoys things like anime and such. He replies that he has not seen much anime, though. She exclaims if that really was the case. He says that he does not know much about VTubers either, except for the girl in this rubber strap. He tells her that this girl is called Nina. He says that Nina is a special case. He starts that he used to date someone before. He respected her as his senior work colleague, too. He says that he intended to work hard so he could be a good match for her, but in the end, he was cheated on. Since she had cheated on him with a company higher up, they ended up breaking up. When he went to work the next day, the topic of the infidelity had spread all over the place, except it was the other way around. Why did he cheat on her and hurt her feelings? He says that even when he tried to tell everyone the truth, they would not believe him. They told him Senpai was cheated on and they are certain he cheated. The rumor was Miyagi cheated on Shiking Senpai and hurt her. He tells her that since then, many things got ruined and went to hell, including work, merely by her dumping him. Then he hastily apologizes to her that he brought up such a dark topic. But she tells him that it is completely fine. Red tints his cheek and he wonders why talking with her feels so relaxing. He continues that at that time, he saw Nina's stream. He says that seeing her cheerfully working hard, even in the presence of slandering comments, brought about courage in him. And thanks to that, recently, he was able to begin working part-time. It is possible that he might have felt the same with other streamers, but because the one who saved him at that time was Nina. He tells her that she is special to him. He says that he is still afraid to get involved with people. He is what is commonly referred to as a gloomy hikikomori. He gazes at the keychain in his hands with an endearing look and says that he thinks it would be great to someday become capable of cheerfully smiling in front of people, just like Nina does. Right now, he works a part-time job at a convenience store, but if he can become like that, he feels like he will be able to take on a job similar to the one he had before and give it his all again. The girl looks at him sadly, but she encourages him, saying that he absolutely can do it. He lowers his head with a smile and says that he really hopes so. He says that a person like him is gross. He thinks streaming is something one does while playing around to be saved by that. But she interrupts him and says that it is not playing around. He looks at her in question. She continues and says that she thinks that streamers with diverse stances do exist. However, people who are earnestly taking streaming as a job also exist. She tells him that streamers are constantly thinking about the streams, too, so that they can enjoy it together with the viewers. They even worry about character creation so as not to overlap theirs with others' personas. They do it because they like it, but since all of them are taking it seriously, she tells him not to say that they are playing. He is about to say something, but a voice interrupts him again, saying that they are from Mini Home. He quickly bows to her, saying that the person from the property management company has arrived. He thanks her for everything and dashes to leave. The person handed him the duplicate key and told him to be careful from now on. He stood in front of his door thinking that now that he thinks about it, the girl from before got a little angry in the middle of the conversation. He unlocks the door, musing that sure enough, he is not very good at talking with real girls. He opens the door, revealing his messy apartment. He thinks he is beat as he jumps on top of his bed that has a body pillow of Nina. With Nina, he would not feel like this now. He thinks that with Nina he would have watched a stream and left a comment. Sometimes, Nina would answer one of his comments, that is all there is to it. He remembered the text that said they got a split. She texted that she was expecting a little more from Ayaba and she was let down. He thinks that he will not even get hurt in real life with just that much. He wakes up in the night when he was hugging the Nina pillow. He thinks how awful, he slept in a weird position. His stomach growls and he stops his movements. He is walking back with a bag of food in his hand in the middle of the road. Come to think of it, he wonders what happened to that girl from before. It is this late. He turns to gaze at the familiar place and thinks it is as expected. She should not be around here, in this park, anymore. Then he spots her, then starts to look around wondering what he should do. Along with thanking her for earlier, he remembers that she was mad by the end. He wonders is it better if he does not. Then he sees that a man approaching her. He worriedly thinks that she is not alone. Or more precisely, he sees that man yell at her and wonders if they are having some kind of disagreement. He gazes downwards, smiling guiltily. He decides that he does not want to get involved after all, and pretends that he did not see that. But she turned her head towards him and exclaimed that there he was. And he is finally here. She waved at him loudly and said he was late. He wonders if she is saying all that to him. Then she turns to the man behind her and gives him a peace sign. She told him that is her boyfriend, so she will get going now. But he did not relent. He put a hand on her shoulders, exclaiming that there is no way he is her boyfriend. She was annoyed and asked him what is he doing. But instead of removing his hand, he told her not to try and run away, instead coming over to his place. Miyagi watched all this from the sideline. She told him to get off her. The man said that she did not have anywhere to go. He told her that he is saying this from the goodness of his heart. She told him that he already said that she would do something about it by herself. He turns hesitantly, thinking now, while they are distracted. He wonders if leaving like this is really okay. He heard them still arguing with each other. He bitterly thinks that in the end, he would just be running away from the things he does not like, just like always. She even listened to the words of a guy like him and replied like that. He remembers when he told her that he thinks it would be great to someday become capable of cheerfully smiling in front of people, just like Nina does. She told him that he absolutely can do it. That makes him halt his steps. He clenched his fist. He said out loud to the man that he thinks she seems to be hating what he is doing a great deal. But the man stubbornly says that of course she is not. Miyagi tells him that is what's obviously happening here. The man angrily grabbed the front of his shirt, asking what did he say. Miyagi puts his hands up awkwardly, saying that he is not the one that said that. The man tells him that he is being a nuisance, and asks what is he trying to accomplish here. Miyagi ends up uttering that being beaten up by strong-looking guys is his hobby. He says that he happened to see him while passing by. By all means, he wants to be beaten. He spreads his arms wide as the man stammers, asking what is he babbling about. Miyagi tells him to hurry up and asks him to hit him. He tells him to please beat him up. The man is quite weirded out by this. He yells at Miyagi, telling him to stop and not to get any closer. He ends up throwing Miyagi to the ground with a yell to get away from him. Miyagi yelps in pain and watches Higit walk away. He thinks he was able to drive him away, though. He is so lame. The girl concerningly asks him if he is okay. She tells him that that guy began talking to her out of nowhere. She apologizes for dragging him into this, but he says that he is the one who should be apologizing. She looks at him and asks if something happened earlier. He tells her that he thinks he might have caused her some discomfort earlier. She says that it is not true, but he tells her that as an apology he should. Then she suddenly says that this way she will stay at his house. She is afraid of him coming back. But that makes him pause. He utters that after all, that would be too much. The girl guiltily smiles, pulling out her phone. She told him that she figured. He wonders from his place to the ground if she was pulling his leg. She tells him that she is really glad he was around here just now. She says she was in trouble, but it is dark around here after all. She was happy to see him because she thought no one would find her. So she thanks him with a wide smile for finding her. His eyes widen. He thinks that at that time, he did not even imagine it. He says to himself that is right, wondering why didn't he notice it. That also in real life, he would fall in love with her. Red tints his face as he whispers to her that she is Amasaki Nina. She tilts her head as he says that she is Amasaki Nina. She asks him why he thinks she is Nina. He wonders what is he even saying. He thinks that there is no way he would meet the person behind Nina at a place like this. He utters that it was because of her voice. She taps her chin as he that because of the way she speaks, perhaps. Besides, she also gives out that kind of vibe. She closes her eyes and in all seriousness says that she was found out quite easily. She says that she will be careful from now on. He exclaims inside his mind that he was right. He wonders that she always admits it so easily. She says that he said he was Nina's fan. So, something like this must have ruined the image of her he had formed in his mind. She apologizes for that. He was still sitting on the ground as he asked if she was not going to deny it. He muses, shouldn't VTubers be more worried about having their personal information revealed online? She says that she does not have the confidence that she could do a good job of deceiving him. Plus, she says that she thinks this is preferable to telling him a bad lie. In exchange, she asks him not to tell anyone else about it. He quickly tells her not to worry and that she can rest assured that he will not tell anyone. She bends down in front of him and exclaims thank goodness. Then she extends her hand to him and says that what happened today will be a secret between just them. She shows him her pinky. She suggests that they make a promise. He wraps his pinky finger around hers, thinking that what she did right now was so like something Nina would do. She whispered that it is a pinky promise. She turns and says that she can go with her mind at ease now. But he calls out saying that she ran away from home and asks if she has somewhere to go. She tells him that she would not be here if she had. She smiles and tells him that she will manage somehow. She requests him to join another one of her streams some other time. He thinks that he really did actually meet the person behind Nina. She turns to him again when she hears him stammer his words, but he eventually utters that it could be dangerous outside since it's already so late. He says that it would be only for tonight, but if it's okay with him she can stay with him. Later that time she found herself sitting on the floor with Nina's body pillow beside her. She mutters that he really does like Nina. She looks at the paper in her hands that Miyagi gave her with his personal contact information. He told her that this is his name and his contact info. He told her to contact him if something comes up. Also, feel free to use the stuff in this apartment however she wants. He told her that when leaving, she can just leave the door unlocked and go. She had asked him if he was going somewhere. He shyly rubbed the back of his head and said that he did not think she would be able to relax if he stayed, so he is planning to go to a net cafe. But she told him that this is his house and he did not have to worry about her. He walks out telling her that it is okay, and he will be back before noon. She slept on top of her own pillow and wondered if Miyagi was the correct way to read his name. She smiles thinking is such a good person. Miyagi is at the internet and comics cafe. He thinks he got carried away and asked her to stay at his place, but he wonders if he will be fine. It is not like they are staying there together, so it should be okay. Or rather, he thinks he invited her to stay only after learning she was Nina. He wonders if that doesn't make him look bad. But he thinks that since weird guys like that one might have been roaming around, he could not just leave her alone. He leans back musing that it was kind of a dire situation, so he had no choice but to let her stay, though. He thinks it would have been better to never have asked her if she was Nina. However, this won't change the fact that Nina is special to him. He closes his eyes and thinks that it is not like he wants to meet the real person behind Nina. That is why after she leaves tomorrow, he decides to forget about meeting her. After that he went back to the hotel by 11:32. He stood in front of his door wondering if she would still be there by now. Then he twists his door and realizes that it is locked. He opens the door and is greeted by the sight of Nina in the kitchen with her hair tied up in twin tails. She welcomed him home with a warm smile. He asks her why is she still here. He tells her that he said this would be just for the night. She says that she thought it wouldn't be right to just leave like that after what he did for her. She says that even if she leaves, she has nowhere to go either. But he points out that she is staying longer than she already has to. She says more importantly and puts the plate in front of his face. He asks what is it. She cheerfully suggests that they should eat together. He again asks what is this. But this time he is sitting on the floor with her. She tells him that it is something he made by frying cup noodles and rice. Changing the subject, she asks him why aren't there any tables in this house. He apologizes for that and takes a spoonful in his hand. He wonders if this will taste like soba and rice cooked together. His expression softens as he thinks that the taste is quite unexpected. She asks him if it is good and he replies that it is quite tasty. She expresses that she is glad he liked it, which reminds him that it has been a while since he has eaten with someone else. He is kinda happy about this. Moreover, he wonders how much time has passed since someone said welcome home to him. She was nervously wiggling her fingers in front of him as she said there was something she wanted to tell him about when they were talking earlier after he came home. She calls him Ao-san and asks him if just for a while, won't he let her stay at his. He instantly spits his food and asks what she calls him just now. She said Ao-san is short for Ayaba-san, and asked if he did not like it. He sighed in relief. He thought that she found out his username. She turns her head and asks whose PC is that. He tells her that is his PC. She tells him that she was free at night, so she tried to edit her previous live stream into video clips. He asks if it was a Nina live stream. She says that he is right but tells him that she is not good at using computers. So, she failed at it and could not get it back. She wonders out loud if she should put on hold trying to edit the next stream. He exclaims at that and requests her to let him take a look. She does not protest and lets him type through his laptop. He asks if she messed with the data in here. Her eyes widen when she sees him accurately going through the data. He runs a hand through his long hair and asks her it is okay to take a closer look at the data. Again she lets him do his work. After a while, he tells her that he was able to restore the original stream. She exclaims he really did, and that is amazing. She says that she would like to insert the thumbnail here. He says that he got it. He looks at the screen and asks, is it okay like this? She asks if he can do something like this. He replies that sure, he can. She mentions that the audio sync in this other video is awful. He says that he thinks that if she wants this fixed, it is better to do it on a proper PC. She asks if he can't fix this either. He states that he can and tells her to wait a bit. She looks at him taken aback, and she wonders if could it be that he actually is someone totally amazing. She asks him if he had a job related to this before. He looks at her in question and says that video editing is not his specialty, but he did programming stuff at his ex-company. She asks if he knows much about these kinds of things. He says that he thinks he knows more about this than the average Joe. She tells him to wait a second and turns to her bag. She then turns back to him, and in her hand are 3 notes of heavy cash. He looks at her alarmed when she tells him to take this. She states that it is the video editing fee, and she is paying him. She exclaims that she will definitely pay him. So she tells him that she would like him to do other things as well. She says that she would like to hire Ao-san. He tells her that she says that she wants to hire him, and if it is about editing, she can just ask her agency or office to do it. She mumbles that it would not be impossible to do, but she tells him that things are complicated right now and it would be quite difficult. She says that it would be pretty risky to ask someone she does not know to do it. She tells him that he has already found out about her identity among other things, so she requests him to help her with Nina's streams. He still looked troubled, so she told him that if it was money he was worried about, she could properly pay him. And she has another thing she would like to ask him. She pushes the money in her hand and tells him to just for a little while let her stay at his place. She lowers her head and says that of course she would pay her part of the rent and the utility bills. She requests him, saying that she is in trouble. She states that if things go on like this, she won't even be able to resume streaming. He tells her that he will answer her requests in order then. She perks up and obediently utters a yes. He starts that first of all, if she is fine with him, he does not mind helping her with her streams, but he can't accept this money. He puts the money forward towards her and says that this money probably is the direct earnings or donations she got from streaming. And he says that from the perspective of a fan who habitually donates to Nina's stream, he thinks it would not feel right for a person who does not even belong to the management team to take that money. So, as a fan of Nina too, he will return this to her. She says that that money does not come from donations, though. He looks at her in question as she says that it is the salary that the agency pays her. It is separate from the money she received from fans. He protests, saying that even if that is the case, it is not right. But she tells him that it is not like she just wants to give him money. She sincerely tells him that she is just saying that she is a streamer requesting a job and paying remuneration in return. That is all. She tells him that it is a payment for the sake of the stream. Heck, if he does not want to do it, she has no one else to ask. After that, he says that he will do it and states that what she said seems to be certainly true. Her face brightens when she hears this, and he says that lastly, there is the matter of her staying over. He bluntly tells her that that's impossible and she can't. Her expression immediately morphs into that of a shock and she grabs him by his shoulders. She exclaims, "Why is that?" and she says that he let her stay last night. He says that just as he thought, living together is impossible after all. She yells that they won't be living together. For most Japanese people, living together with someone of the opposite gender has romantic implications. She stops yelling and says that it would really be just for a short while. She is directly on top of him right now and she pleads to him and tells him to think of it as helping Nina. He repeats, thinking that same as helping Nina. He, who was saved by Nina, can be of help now. He says alright and her face starts to brighten up again, but he states that there is a condition. He says that she ran away from home after fighting with her parents, and he suggests they work toward fixing that. He tells her that if she is fine with it, he will listen to her story and see how he can help. She looks around nervously and he states that he is not telling her to tell him the details right away, but he says that if he sees she has no intention of fixing this, he will have her leave. She says that she understands, and thanked him, saying that she was really in trouble here. She mentions that she should start to attend school again, after all. He agrees, saying that it would be better for her to go to school. She says, speaking of which, she left the uniform in her bag all this time, so it got wrinkled. He turns to her at the mention of a uniform. She casually says that she will wash it in a laundry machine. He trunks to her and says, a uniform. What uniform? She pulls up a checked skirt and says, this one. He looks dreadful when she says that it is just a regular high school uniform. He hesitantly asks if she is a high school student. He tells her to forget everything he said just now. She grumbles and tells him not to be like this. He exclaims that it is absolutely impossible to accommodate a high school student at his home. He yells that he will unwillingly become a criminal. She tells him that even if he says that, she means she spent last night here, so it is already too late. He looks shocked and says that last night he was not at home. But she tells him that a high school student did stay at his house. He makes a noise of dread setting in. She puts a hand on her chin and wonders out loud what would happen if she were to be taken into protective custody by the police after she is driven out from there. She says that she would be forced to say that she stayed at his home if they were to ask her multiple questions. She wonders out loud what the police officers would think of him after that. He yells at her to wait a bit. She smugly looks at him and asks if he will let her stay. He could only look at her nervously. He dreadfully looks at her as she is successfully pursuing him to let her stay. He finally defeatedly asks if really has a choice. She tells him that she has been thinking and asks if his hair gets in the way. She asks him if he is trying to grow it out or something. He says that it is a hassle to go get it cut, so he does not. She perks up and says that she will cut it for him then. He asks her if she can actually do it. She replies that she has never done it before, but she cuts her own bangs and stuff. She snips the scissors in front of him and says that it will be fine. He looks dreadful, but she only smiles, exclaiming that she will make it look good. He tries to tell her to hold on a minute, but she does not heed him. After all, that he was sitting in the saloon as the barber chips at his hair. He thanks her for her hard work and looks in the mirror. He glanced back at himself, wondering, how did this happen? His hair was shorter now, and his eyes were in clear view right now. Nina was waiting for him outside, and she asked if he was finished. She compliments him that he looks great. She apologized for messing up his hair but said that it is super nice. She tells him to look at the clothes she bought and tells him to come with her. He innocently tilts his head and asks where. She exclaims that on a date. He was shocked, but he followed her nonetheless. She tells him that since she will be staying at Ao Chan's house, she needs to buy a few things. She says that she will need a change of clothes, too. He is silently following her from behind. She turns around and asks if he is listening. She notices how far back he is standing and asks why is he staying so far back. He looks away and says that walking that close would be a crime. She asks that he is still on that. She tells him that he totally looks suspicious walking that far back and says that he would look more handsome than suspicious walking with him. But he states that there is no way and it would definitely look like he is stalking her. She is a little troubled now and says that she doubts that. She guesses that they could hold hands or something. He exclaims at that, but she changes the subject and tells him not to stay so far and walk closer. Someone calls out to Miyagi saying a small "excuse me" to catch his attention. Miyagi turns around to see an officer fix his cap as he asks if he has a moment. Miyagi dreadfully this it is over, but the officer shows him a tiny, torn-up teddy bear with one button for an eye and asks if is this his. He says that he found it on the ground. Nina says that it is hers and thanks the officer. The officer replied that it was not a problem. The officer leaves peacefully as Nina tells Miyagi to look and says that he was fine. She cheerfully smiles at him and tells him to let's go. Miyagi's cheeks turn red and he thinks that it has been like this since yesterday. She swept him up and now he is doing things he normally could not see himself doing. He does not feel so bad, but for some reason. He asks her if she has anything else she needs to buy. She makes a sound like she is still thinking. Again a stranger calls out to Miyagi and he immediately tenses. The stranger realizes and says that he is selling magazines. Miyagi muses that this is his first time doing something like this, and come to think of it, he has not gone out like this since he quit the company. He thinks that even if he goes out he is just too tired. It is annoying being around people, and the only fun he has is watching Nina's streams. Everything else is boring. But then he looks at Nina in her current normal high school form and sees the Nina from the livestream standing there and looking at him. He grabs his face where the red is starting to cover up. He mentally asks Nina what has she done to him. Suddenly Nina is running to him and calling him her boyfriend. She apologizes for keeping him waiting. He stammers out that he is not her boyfriend or anything, but she playfully asks if he is sure and suggests they start going. She apologizes for putting him through all this, but rather than accepting it, he thanks her in return. She looks at him in question. He rubs his newly trimmed hair between his fingers and says that today was really fun and this kind of thing is not so bad. He smiles at her and says so today he is glad she brought him along. She smiles at him in return. She points out that he does not have a desk at home. She asks if it is alright if she buys one. He asks if that is okay with her and asks if she does not have to buy a futon. She asks him in question and he replies that he only has one futon set. She exclaims what is she saying? All their commotion attracts a certain someone's attention who looks away from his phone and sees her laughing at something. He recognizes her and wonders out loud if it is Shiraishi. Nina, one of the live, says hello to everyone. Long time no see. She says that it is Amasaki Nina. She says that her PC has been acting up and she could not stream. There are various comments already asking if she fixed her PC. Coco commented that the stream was late. The rest were painting out technical issues like her mic sounds off. The next one told her to take it easy. Nina read all that and said that it is not fixed yet, so she is using a laptop. Another comment was written in exclamation that she finally streamed. Another wrote that they can fix her PC for her. She says that she was actually planning to stream only after she got a new PC, but she says that she missed them all too much. At the park bench, Miyagi covers his face with his hand as he tears up, internally screaming that he loves her, and he knows he missed her too. Her voice comes from his phone as she says that she is going to end early though. Looks like it is impossible with this laptop. In his room, Nina read the comments as one asks, can computers in heaven be broken? Nina replies that she uses a human PC because she is a human sent to the heavenly realm. Another says that they have never heard of such a setup before. She tells him not to call it a setup. She says that it is on the official website. The comments section takes a shrewd turn as one comment laughs it off. Y comments that she is promoting the website lol. Another tells her that she has fallen. The next one tries to defend her and says that she said it in her debut. They didn't know. After that, another comment says that they are going to go check. But she still smiled and told them that she would keep them posted on her future plans. Aosan donated 100 yen and wrote that he is happy to see Nina stream and said that it has been so long since she last streamed. Later, when he came back home, she welcomed him and apologized to him for having him leave during the stream. She says that it is too hard to stream on this laptop. He replies that it is okay, and if his voice is heard, he states in a deadly tone that if Nina's stream goes up in flames, he would not be able to forgive himself. She says that he is so serious it's funny. Speaking of which, he asks if she is okay with the stream schedule. She looks through her phone and says that she told her manager that her computer is acting up so she has to stream less. She states that she can't just tell them she is running away from home, so she tells him that there was a guy named Aosan in the stream earlier. She playfully asks if it is him. He thinks that he donated like he usually does. He replies that it is his screen name. Then he counters that it is possible there is someone else with the same name in her stream. She asks if is that even possible. She says that it is definitely Aosan. She tells him that he has been commenting and stuff since her debut stream, and today he donated and said something like he is glad he got to see her stream. He grows tense as she continues and says that he speaks just like Miyagi, and he does not feel alive without Nina's streams, or he is sure the PC could not withstand Nina's cuteness, or something like that. He quickly covers his face with both of his hands to cover his shame and tells her that it is him, and tells her to forgive him. She asks to forgive him for what? He replies for everything. She exclaims that it is crazy and says that it is fate. He looks at her in question. She says that it is because it's not common to run into a viewer like this. She says that it is so destined. She is mad. She also points out that she easily admitted that she was Nina when they first met. She tells him that she has been thinking about how her fans feel. She has been wondering since if she should have lied. It was a little late for that. She apologized to him for that. He tells her that she only told him because he asked in the first place, so she does not have to apologize. He says that he was surprised and he should not, but even though he has asked who was behind the screen, he states that Nina is still Nina to him. He sits beside her and with a smile that does not change the fact that Nina is special to him. She says his name and then boldly asks if he is in love. He puts her hands up defensively and stammers that he does like Nina, but he is talking about the virtual Nina. He says that it is not like he is in love or wants a relationship or anything like that. Nina is just special to him. He argues that to say he wants to be with Nina is absurd. She taps her cheek and says that, for example, if Nina had a boyfriend, would he hate it? He hesitates to answer but says that she is talking about the person behind Nina. She tells him that he is right. He looks away and dimly replies that in that case, he does not mind and it is a private matter. Instead, he says that they should hide it well. He tells her that he wants people to have their privacy. That being said though, he doubts everyone would think the same way as him. He looks down and says that that's why he thinks she should hide it from her viewers. Then he comes back and yells that that's all his opinion. She laughs and says that she knew he would say that. He asks if she has such a person. She playfully replies that she told him it is just an example. He takes her answer to that. Later her face dulls when he is not around as she looks at the chats on her phone. That person is asking when can they meet and adamantly admits that if she is not coming to school then fine, but she should call them. Nina was sitting in the corner of the classroom thinking that this was bad and that she did not have anyone to talk to. She thinks that even though they just had a class change, she didn't come to school. She wonders why can't she talk to people in class if she can do it so easily on stream. A voice calls out to Shiraishi. Two girls were standing and asking if she had a moment. Her mind immediately exclaimed that they were talking to him. She cheerfully asks what's up, but they immediately cut to the chase and ask what kind of relationship does she has with Yaetom-kun. She froze and said that Mei-kun and she had known each other for a long time. The other girls exclaim and one of them says that she calls Yaetom-kun by his given name. She realized that that was what they wanted, but a guy approaches them and asks if they are talking about him. Yaetom tilts his head and threateningly says that if they have business with him, come to him directly. The girls grew embarrassed but they took their leave saying that it was nothing. He sighs as if he did the most boring thing ever and tells Shiraishi that's funny that she still does not have any friends. She yells that it is her fault. He asks how is that? She tells him that it is because Mei-kun steals all the maidens' hearts. He bluntly says that he does not know what she means, but he says that is okay. She has got him after all. She looks at him as he confidently stands beside her. He asks what was she doing skipping school anyway. He says that he messaged her but she ignored him. She apologizes to him and says that she has not been home, so she has been busy. He asks if she is alright. She replies that she is staying over with an acquaintance though and she is fine. He looks skeptically at her. He says that this reminded him, and asks was that her he saw shopping in front of the station last week. She hesitantly replies that she guesses that might have been her. He asks if she was not with a guy, but she tells him that he is mistaken, she was alone. He calls her Shiraishi and says that it was her with a guy, his face painted with a smirk. Miyagi in his apartment looked at the boxes piled up in his room and wondered what is he supposed to do with all this. Shiraishi told him that she wanted to order some things and that she was going to have them delivered here. He didn't expect for it to show up like this. He wonders what in the world even is all of this. He looks at the invoice and reads that it is computer equipment. He excitedly wonders if this could be for Nina's streams. He smiles and muses that this seems to be the last of them for now. He wonders if she can stream with all this. Then he realizes that the equipment is too much. He exclaims that she is ready to settle in with all of this. He says out loud that he thinks it is time. He asks her why she ran away from home. Then there is a knock on the door and he wonders if that is her. He opens the door and finds her looking worriedly at him. He welcomes her in confusion. She says that she is home but she says that she needs to have a word with him. He tells her that he needs to talk to her as well, but she exclaims that that can wait and she is in a hurry. A voice calls out from behind her calling her Shiraishi. He looks at her as she looks away from him, his mind running. Yaetom steps up and says that as he thought. He looks at Miyagi and says that he is the guy Shiraishi was with the other day. He asks Shiraishi what exactly is going on here. Miyagi looks at the two high school students standing before him, as he wonders what is with this guy, and actually, what the heck is this situation? He looks between them. Yaetom suddenly turns to him and says that in the first place, he asks Miyagi who is he. He looks at Miyagi with venom in his eyes and asks if they are living together. Miyagi exclaims in his mind that he is scary. Yaetom suddenly pulls Shiraishi close and says that he is her boyfriend. Even Shiraishi looks surprised at that but Miyagi does not notice as he replies what he just said. Nina's boyfriend, he thinks that is a private matter, but his mind argues saying that she is Nina and he knows that. His mind spins and he thinks that he can't get his feelings straight, but he hears Shiraishi yells that that is not true. He tells Mei-kun not to say weird things. She says that Aosan has frozen. She apologizes to him and tells him that Yaetom is her childhood friend, and that Mei-kun said that without permission. She reasons that she told him the other day she does not have a boyfriend, and that she did not lie. Yaetom calls out to Tsukasa and asks, "Isn't this a crime?" He asks Miyagi if he realizes that she is underage. He tells him that it is a crime to bring home a minor. He puts the phone close to his ears and says that alright then he will call the cops. Miyagi freezes again thinking that this is his death warrant. But Shiraishi tells him to wait a minute and demands him to come with her, stating that they need to talk. She apologizes again to Miyagi and says that they will talk later as well. Then she leaves a frozen Miyagi to his devices. Later at the park, Shiraishi tries to convince Yaetom. She states that she is asking him to let her stay, and she requests him not to put the blame on Aosan for this. But Yaetom states that that's impossible and tells her that she should come to him first. He tells her that she could come to his house instead. She thinks about Mei-kun's place but says that she would cause trouble for his mother. But he argues saying what if he does something to her. She yells that Aosan is not that kind of person. She says that she has not had any problems with him. He states that he is waiting to catch her off guard. But she tells him that Aosan never even asked her name. He looks at her inquisition and she says that she only gave him her contact info. She tells him that he is keeping his distance. She says that she will leave Aosan's house eventually. She thinks he is trying not to get involved. That is why she sincerely tells him that Aosan is okay. He is silent for a few minutes and says that he is going home then. He turns around and tells her that if something happens, tell him right away. He walks out of the park and wonders why did she said it is okay. He turns his head and thinks that there is no way. He wonders that guy, she does not like him, does she? She reaches Miyagi's apartment and immediately apologizes about earlier, but she finds him curled up in a ball. She told him that she talked to Mei-kun about it. She asks if he is okay. He lifts her head and says that he has been thinking about turning himself in before he gets reported to the police. Shiraishi yells that she is not going to report him. She means that she ordered so much stuff. He gets up and rubs the back of his head. He says that the guy from earlier, Mei-kun, he asks if he went home. She smiles widely and says that Mei-kun really wants a girlfriend, and she bets he was surprised. She tells him that she has been asked out about 5. He exclaims 5 times, but she says that she has turned them down every time. She says that she had thought that maybe she should accept, but she loves streaming the most. She tells him not to tell Mei-kun about her streaming though. She says that Mei-kun said she could come to stay with him. But Mei-kun he lives with his mom and it is tough. She says that why should she bother them, she could not even stream. Then she guesses that she is bothering him though and utters a small sorry. He says that her staying at his place he still does not think it is a good idea. But he says that that does not mean she has to leave. He says that the problem is that she can't go home right now. He sits beside her looking into her eyes and says that is why he asks if she can at least tell him why it is that she ran away. She asks him what he wants to know, why she ran away. He replies that he only knows that she got into a fight with her parents. Instead of answering, she asks if he is hungry or has he eaten yet. He says no and adamantly asks if is she not trying to change the here. He says that he is being serious. She only smiles widely and says that it is good to have something to eat when he is talking about something important. She makes a smart pose and tells him to go and eat. Later he sits opposite to her and asks why are they at a karaoke place. She replies that it is a family restaurant and they are so uncomfortable. He thinks wouldn't it have been better to eat at home. She says that it is private and he can order food. And she can sing. She exclaims that it is the best. She picks up the device and he looks at her asking if she is going to sing. She replies that he has come all this way so why would she not? She asks him if he does not want to hear Nina sing. Without missing a beat he directly says that he wants to hear it. Then he internally grumbles he thought they were not supposed to talk about this. He again states that he is trying to be serious here. He says that he knows talking about it might not make a difference, but he says that if there is anything he can do, he wants to do it. He tells her to talk to him. She lowers her head and says that it is not that she does not want to talk about it, but there is an order to these kinds of things. He wonders out loud, but she asks him instead if he is going to ask for her real name. He puts his hand up in defense saying that he is not going to ask her that. She asks if that is how he feels, but she says that he feels, but he is still going to ask why she ran away from home. She rests her chin on her hand and says that in that case, she tells him to ask her name as well. She says that she knows Ao-san won't spread rumors, but he says that she is to tell them. She tells him that the Nina online is actually Shiraishi Nina. He asks if her real name is also Nina. She replies that it uses kanji characters. She says that when she was deciding on a name, she wanted one that she could easily cover up if her real name was said accidentally. He lets out a laugh. She asks him why is he laughing. She replies that when she made such a big deal about it, he thought it would be totally different. She leans forward with her arms on the table. She says that she really likes Ao-san's smiling face. His cheeks grow slightly red as she says that when she first met him it looked like he was going to die. But she says that he kind of smiled and laughed as he talked about Nina. And he even laughed with her, not just Nina. She expresses how glad she is. Then she gets up and suggests he cut his hair and asks why does he not show your face a little more. She lifts his hair and says that she likes him when he parts his hair. She asks him what's wrong. She stammers and says that she didn't mean it like that. He sweat drops and says that he knows. He puts a hand over his lips and thinks that he knows what she means. They sit in silence after that as he suggests that after she is done eating they should head home. She agrees with him. Later when they were walking him, Shiraishi suddenly said that they only ate and talked about names. She says that that was her first time going to karaoke and not singing. Miyagi freezes at that he wants to hear it. She apologizes saying that she did not sing alive for him. He still says that it is okay and states that it is not something he would normally be able to do anyway. But she says that he said that he wanted to hear it. He collects himself and thinks that he did want to hear it. He will never get that chance again. She says that she wanted to sing too though. She tilts her head and mischievously says that that's why they should go back. He looks at her as she claims that it looks like it is going to rain so they should dash. Again he wonders how long is she going to be here. but he thinks if it is only for a little while longer. Shiraishi looks at the thermometer in her hands that reads 38.5 degrees Celsius and says that just as she thought he did get sick after all. Mia was lying in the futon with Nina's body pillow beside him but outside the sheets. She asks if he is feeling alright. She says that it did start raining on their way back from karaoke and they both got back soaking wet. He apologizes to her through the haze of fever. She puts a hand on her hip and says that they don't have any medicine here and asks if he can wait until the pharmacy opens up. But he says that it is okay and she needs to put school first. More importantly, he calls her Shiraishi-san and she asks him why he is using her surname. She says that he can call her Nina. He points out that back then, her friend. She waves it off saying that Mei-kun is just trying to be cool. She tells him not to worry about him. She asks him what he needs. He asks her if she can stay at a net cafe or somewhere else for today. She looks at him in question. He replies that he does not want a cold to interfere with Nina's streaming. She smiles and asks isn't it a little late for that. Besides, she says that she has not set up her streaming equipment yet, so she could not stream anyway. Then he says that it does not matter. She calls out his name but there is a lack of response. She asks if he fell asleep. She removes the hair from his forehead and notices that he is burning up. She worriedly wonders if it is safe to leave him alone, but she mutters that she has got to go to school. She asks him even though he is fast asleep if he will be alright while she is gone. She looked at her phone and it was 7:58. She exclaimed that this was bad. She turns to leave but gives him one last look saying that she will be going then. Before she closes the door she hears a small take care from him. She wonders what now. She gleefully thinks that Ao-san can speak without honorifics. She wonders why Ao-san just now was kinda cute. At home, Miyagi in between his futon thinks that he feels like he made a mistake. He is so tired but at times like these, he has always hated them because he has bad dreams. A lady told him that the rumor that Aoba cheated it was not her who spread it. She tells him that he is exactly what people around him think he is. She suggests breaking up and says that they should not waste each other's time anymore. She states that she does not have to be any more clear. She bluntly states that she does not need someone like him. Later Shiraishi says that she is home as she enters the room holding her phone in one hand. Miyagi is still deep asleep. She asks him if he has been asleep this whole time. Miyagi makes a noise of discomfort. She mutters that he is groaning a lot and asks if he is okay or if she should wake up. She asks him if he gets some medicine. Miyagi does not answer but he lets out a whisper of Nina's name. Shiraishi pauses but then a devious smirk takes over her lips and she lies down beside him and playfully asks if he called and it is Nina. She says that today is special because she will be right here by his side. She tells him to get well quickly and completely leans her head on his futon beside his pillow. She silently removes some hair from his sweaty forehead and thinks that he is always so kind but it is because she is Nina. And if she was not Nina. Suddenly he turns around and wraps his arm around her resting her head close to his chest. She softly calls out his name and wonders if he is sleeping. A deep fluster starts to cover his face. She calls out to him and tries to wake him up, but he gets slightly from where his arm was wrapped around her. She thinks it is good until he passes out right on top of her, trapping her beneath him. Later at work Miyagi dully wonders what did he do while holding a cleaning mop in his other hand. His manager stood right beside him, turned to him, and asked if he was talking to her. He just tells her that he is talking to himself. He thinks he is definitely being avoided. He remembers the way she paused and told him that it was alright when he asked her if she needed help, and later told him that she was going to eat alone today. He knows that Nina-san has been acting strange ever since the day he had that fever. He thinks he was asleep all day and honestly has no idea. He wonders if something happened while he was asleep. He dreadfully muses that he does not understand. His manager watches his inner turmoil and asks Miyagi what is wrong. He turns to her when she says that maybe he has got a girl he likes. Red tints his cheeks as she points out that he has got his hair cut and changed his image. She says that she thought that maybe it was because of a girl, and asks if Miyagi-kun found a 3D girl that he likes. He tries to deny it but she continues that she knows that she got these as a gift, but says that she thinks he should use them. She gave him 2 tickets for the film, and says that she does not watch this kind of thing, but it is popular with girls your age. She tells him to do his best after handing her the tickets, leaving him to wonder if she would even like this. After walking out of the cinema, Shiraishi comments that it was surprisingly interesting. She exclaims that it was awesome how the shark and penguin merged in the last scene. He expresses that he is glad she enjoyed it. He realizes that she likes this sort of thing. She says that the owner is such a nice person to give us those tickets. Miyagi thinks that when he invited her, she came like usual. He guesses he was worried about being avoided over nothing as he walks right behind her. Suddenly she turns around as if she just remembered something. But then she flustered with how close they were standing. She mutters a small, "never mind," and then backs off. Dread set in as he thinks that she is blatantly avoiding him, and on the other hand, she thinks this is bad. Like before, whenever she is near Aosan, her heart starts pounding. Another annoyed voice calls out to them and asks Miyagi what is he doing. They both turn only to find Yaotome standing there with a frown on his face. Shiraishi smiles and says that he really came. Miyagi exclaims that she called him. She says that she told him she was going to see a movie and he said he would come. Miyagi points out that they have already seen the movie though. She says that she really didn't think he would come. He had texted her asking if she was free today, but she told him that she was going to go see a movie with Aosan. Then he told her that he is coming too. She texted him that if he left now he might be able to make it for the screening. But Yaotome states that he does not care about the movie. He asks them why the two of them are out here together, and questions if her staying at his home is not enough. Miyagi opens his mouth to explain, but Shiraishi tugs on Yaotome's sleeves and asks if she can have a word with him. His eyes widen as he sees that she is looking at him with big round eyes and he blushes. He exclaims, "What is she doing all of a sudden?" But Nina thinks that she is fine with Mei-kun, and wonders then why does Aosan make her heart flutter. She thinks that is not what Aosan is about. She tells herself that what happened the other day was an accident. Then she leaves his sleeve and says, "Okay, thank you, that is all." He curses, asking what was that. Then she tells them to wait here. She says that she is going to go look at merch from the movie. After a pause, Mia is still tense as the atmosphere around him grows awkward. Yaotome also remains silent and then suddenly speaks up, asking if he likes Shiraishi. Miyagi was taken aback by this, but Yaotome continues that otherwise, what does he get out of it hiding a young adult like that? Nina thinks that she has been staying at Aosan's place for days now, and wonders why is she getting so nervous now. She looks at her phone, which pinged a sound of notification. She realizes that it is from her manager, and frowns as she looks at her phone. Miyagi starts to answer as Yaotome's words ring in his head, asking if he likes Shiraishi. But Shiraishi jumped into his view and called out to him holding her phone. She exclaims that this is bad. She says that she got a call from her manager at her place. But Miyagi quickly calls out to him and asks if it is okay to talk here. Yaotome tilted his head in confusion when she looked at him. Nina realizes that he is a man who does not know about Nina's streams. She looks at him shocked. Then she says that they can talk about this later. Yaotome's frown deepens and he asks what is she talking about and asks if she is hiding something from him. He states that Miyagi knows something. He asks how come Miyagi knows and he does not. Nina utters a small apology without looking at him. But then he turns around adamantly saying that he got it and he is going home. She calls out from behind, but he tells her to talk to that guy all she wants. He courses as he walks back, thinking that he is the first one she called out to. He thinks that until now, he was the only one. He remembers them growing up. He dully repeats that he was the only one, and he should have been there. Miyagi asks her if she should not gone after him. Nina says that she will contact him later. She says that he does this kind of thing all the time. Putting that aside, she exclaims that this is super bad. She says that the office called to let her know they would send something for Nina. Apparently, they sent her a letter. He asks if is it something she needs to sign for or anything like that. She replies that it is not like that and she just does not want anybody to see it. She says that she is running away from home, so getting paperwork means trouble. She closes her eyes and says that she really does not want to go back home. But she does have to go back and get the letter. But she says that Aosan only let her stay because she could not go home. She thinks that if she goes back he will not let her stay with him anymore. Miyagi, on the other hand, is worried. He notices that she seems like she really does not want to go back home. He puts a hand on his chin and thinks that maybe, what if her family is abusive towards her? An image of her crying face is painted in his mind as he thinks that if she goes to get the letter and runs into her parents. He asks if he should go with her to pick it up. She pauses at that and asks if he means that he will come to her house with her, and she will be able to go back to stay with him. He says that she is right, but then he realizes that this means he will know where Nina lives. He says that on second thought, maybe he should not. She tells him that it is fine and that she wants him to come with her. After that, they both stood in front of a flat and Miyagi realized that he was actually there. Outside the lift, he says that he will just wait outside. She asks what is the point of him coming then, and besides she says that she does not think anyone should be here. She pushes the lift buttons. He asks if both of her parents work. She says that her dad is at work but her mom. Then she says that they are not here anyway, so it will be fine. They walk to the front of her door and she says that nobody is there and tells him to come in. He thinks going into his Oshi's house. He wonders if he is allowed to do this as a fan. She says that she will go look for the letter and tells him to wait here. He agrees as he realizes nervous. He asks her if she lives with her father. He asks if it is just the two of them. She replies that it is just the two of them because her mom left. Then she exclaims that there it is. Good. She says that she does not think it has been opened. Suddenly a voice calls out to her from behind and makes her freeze in her tracks. She turned around to find her father standing at the door. She says that she thought he was at work. He replies that he was nearby, so he stopped in on his way back to work. He turns to Miyagi as if asking who he is, that critical look never leaving his face. Nina quickly steps in front of him and says that this is a friend of hers and he just happened to be with her when she stopped by. Her father, straight to the point, asked if this man took care of her while she was away from home. She lowers her head and affirms him. He says after she left home without permission. He asks was she not ashamed of causing trouble for others. Miyagi tells him to hold on a minute and steps out from behind her to tell her father that she is bothering him. He states that it was his idea to let her stay at his place. She was all alone in the dark and she tried to handle it on her own. But the man says that he appreciates his concern, but he is sure he can get a good idea of what is going on with his own daughter. He says that she probably forced his hand. Miyagi tries to say that that is not true, but her father continues that this is the way it has always been. He says that when things do not go her way, she ignores her parents, but she has never run away from home before. He says that she is always looking for approval, and she is just seeking people's attention. And she has even started all of that ridiculous streaming stuff. In that letter he points out that it is about that streaming stuff. He says that he already told her to stop. He says that he can't believe his own family is doing such low-level stuff. He tells her not to embarrass her parents any further. But Miyagi speaks up saying that he does not think it is embarrassing, and to say it is ridiculous or low-level. He exclaims that it is nothing like that at all. To play the part of someone else, to make a stream that everyone can enjoy. It is not easy at all. He asks her father does he not think that she is putting a lot of thought and effort into what she does. He says that Nina-san has lots of fans and thousands of people come to watch her stream. He says that is not something really amazing, being able to make so many people smile. He does not think it is silly. Above all, that kind of thought put into her streams, he says that it has even helped save people. So he fiercely requests her father to take back what he said before. After all that talk, her father does not budge. Instead, he says that it is true that his words were rather harsh. However, he says that this is a family matter and it would be best if he left. Miyagi thinks that he is right, but behind him, Nina grabs the back of his shrug and asks if he is going him. She says that if so, she is going with him. He looks at her in question and tells her that she has come this far, so she should talk to her father properly. But she says that there is no point in talking to her dad. He will not listen to what she has to say. That is why she ran away from home. She says that this is how it has always been. He would not even listen to mom. That is why her mom left. She states that even if she can't stay with Aosen, she is leaving, and she will find somewhere else to stay. She trunks around ready to walk out, but Miyagi steps in her way and says that she does realize this will not solve anything. She stubbornly says that she is going back with him. He said it himself. He turns to her father and says that this is it. He puts his card on the table and says that here is his address and his contact information. Her father asks her what he means. Miyagi explains that he is a complete stranger and he understands that this is forward, but he says for just a little while longer. He asks if he could leave Nina-san with him. He says that even if he and Nina-san talk now for a number of reasons, he does not think it will go well. So he asks her father if he could give Nina-san some more time. He bows to her father and begs for it. Her father still looks stern and says that he will take down his contact info and says that even if he stops her, he knows that she will just run away again. He states that compared to not knowing where she is, at least he will know she is safe. He says that this is definitely better. He thanks her father and says that if anything happens he will contact him right away. Her father says that it is fine and says that he needs to return to work. Then he says that after this there is no need to talk anymore. Nina does not meet his eyes as he leaves, but she thanked Aosan when they got out of her house for saying what he did to her dad. She says that he must be surprised. Her reason for running away is so insignificant. He says that she told him that she did not get along with her parents and now he knows it is because they were against her VTubing. She says that it is a common quarrel between parent and child. She asks if that is the reason should she go home. Before she can say anything more, he interrupts her and says that he does not think so. He crouches down to meet her eyes as if talking to a child. He says that it is because, for Nina-san, it was not easy. He says that for all this time she could not go home. Just like that, she bursts into tears. His father had told her that it was enough that her mother showed up. When she told him about her entrance ceremony, he told her not to waste his time on that sort of thing. Her father has always been like that. Her mother had asked her that since she is already in high school she can take care of herself. After that day, her mom never came back home. Later at school, Yaetome was asking if she wants to go somewhere after school. She lets out a hum, but her eyes widen when she sees the poster for Niji Live VTuber audition. She was not sure that she just wanted to be seen by somebody. She wonders if VTubers is okay. Her mother asked, is this not a suspicious company? But Nina told her that it was okay and it is a famous company. Her mother agreed and said that she would sign this for her at least. She says that she does not want her father to know that she has been meeting with her. Nina says that she knows, and her mother adds that just so she knows, this is the last time they are doing this. She tells him that her parents are now officially divorced. Nina asks if that means her mother has decided on her custody then. But her mother only told her to get along with her father. Nina could only sit there in shock. Later on her stream, Nina thanked her viewers for coming to her stream today. Her streams did not go well at first either. She told her viewers that she would be happy if they could watch the next stream too. She thinks it is no good she could not speak at all. She reads the comments after the stream. One comment read that she seemed more nervous than one would expect, even for her first stream. She lets out a groan but perks up realizing that she has gotten a lot of good comments too. She keeps repeating to herself that she does not care. She originally thought the only people who would watch would be big VTuber fans. But there is people like this too. When she read Aosan's comment that read this is his first time seeing a broadcast like this, he is rooting for her. He told her to keep up the good work. With a 500 yen donation, she thanks him for finding her. She sees that her subscriber No has reached 682,000. He squeals that she is getting more and more subscribers and says that maybe it is because of her longer stream the other day. Megazu in the comments asked if Nina-chan also does longer streams too. She thinks that she can only stream while her dad is not around, but she thinks that it is popular and this is her job. She wonders if she should talk to her dad. But when she did, her dad only accusingly said that he knew she had been doing something secretly. He asks if this is something she is going to do with exams coming up. He tells her that she should be doing something like that after she has gone out into society and become independent. He states that kids like her just want to goof around, and she would not understand. She mutters that it is a job. She tells him that it is work, and she is even getting paid by the company. He bluntly tells her that she has a job based on some short-lived fad. He states that it will not last forever, and when that job is gone, he asks what is there left for her. He asks if when that happens, will she be able to put that on her resume. He questions if this is a job she can write about and be recognized for. He states that the company and the people who watch these streams, they are not responsible for her life. She tries to argue, saying that there are so many people who look forward to those people will quickly find someone else. After all, it does not have to be her. She scrambles into her room and packs her bag in frustration. She angrily exclaims, why is he always like this? She thinks that she should not have said anything. She dully wonders why he does not listen to her. She looks at her passbook and thinks that it is fine if she is out on her own. She thinks that she has a lot of savings, and she could stay at a net cafe for a while. She decides that the only way he will find her is through her stream. She thinks what her father is saying she does understand. At the cafe, the assistant returned her card and said that minors are not allowed to stay after 10 p.m. She said that high schoolers must be accompanied by an adult. She asks Nina if she understands. She looks through her phone and thinks that she didn't know a loan contract requires written parental consent. As for her mom, she can't ask her. She thinks that Nina has so many followers, but none of them can help the real her. She understands now everyone loves Amasaki Nina. Katatakanokan commented that Nina must be good friends with her family. He can tell from listening to her stories. She cries and thinks that the real Nina is not anything like Nina. In the end, there was nothing. She is guessing nobody is going to find her. She read a few more comments that were asking if there is not going to be a stream. The comment about that read that Nina did not stream again today, but did he see Akari's singing stream? That was when she noticed Miyagi looking at her, but she only saw that fallen keychain of Nina on the side road. She picks it up and runs after Miyagi, thinking that he can't abandon Nina here. She pleads for him to not leave her behind with tears still gathered in her eyes. She tapped on his shoulder. She thinks that she is right in front of him even though she is not the same Nina that he loves. She smiles and points to the keychain. She says that he dropped this. She thinks that maybe anyone else could have felt the same way. But, on that day, he was the one who found her. At the flat, she cried that is why her mom got a divorce and left. And her dad does not listen to anything she says. His eyes widen as he thinks that he made her cry. She held onto his shrug and tugged it, asking if he was listening. He thinks that he wants to listen to her properly, but he looks at where her hand is grabbing onto his clothes and thinks that this situation, it would be bad if anyone saw them. A crying minor and a suspicious man who is not a tenant. He suggests that they should go home and talk about this there. She agrees with him and utters a small apology. She says that she knows it is a pain to have to listen to all this, but he tells her that it is not it. Rather, he would like to hear what Nina-san has to say. That's why he tells her to go home. She gazes at him and thinks that it has always been like this. Even if he knew she was Nina, he still cared about Nina. She remembers when he told her that that does not change the fact that Nina is special to him. She thinks that he did her best to help Nina. She remembered when he suggested that they should work toward fixing her relationship with her parents. Miyagi was someone who was willing to look for her. She softly says that she likes him. He looks shocked for a moment, then said that he didn't hear what she said. He asks what was, but she exclaims that it is nothing. It really is nothing. She turns around and says that they should get going. He still blushes deep red and sees that she is not following. She repeats again that it was nothing. She held onto his hand and asked if is this okay for just a little while. Later next morning she wrote to her manager wishing her good morning, and she apologized for bothering them so early. She wrote that she was contacting them because she had something she wanted to ask. A text bubble popped up as she asked if it is against agency policy for a VTuber to be in a relationship. She glared at her phone until the answer came. They ask if Nina-san has found someone she likes. They wrote that they are sure the agency is okay with it, but told her to make sure to keep it separate from her streaming persona. Her managers wrote that it would be bad for her to restrict her so much, since she has her own private life. Their policy makes sure their streamers' feelings take priority. She immediately sits up exclaiming if that is real. She thought they would say no. She thinks that it is okay for her to like Ao-san. She sparkles as she realizes and repeats that it is okay for her to like Ao-san. Later when Miyagi was on his shift in front of the staff room looking at his phone, the owner-san called him out. He asked her what is wrong and she asked him in return if he is not leaving yet. He says that he was just about to and asks if he should stay instead. She yells that it is okay and tells him to go home already. She tells him that in front of the store there is a girl is waiting for him. He walks out and finds Nina standing by the store. She bids him a good morning. He asks what is wrong and she replies that she was just wondering if Ao-san was here, so she was peeking at the register and another clerk approached her. Nina says that he works the night shift and asks are there not any women who work here. He says that they do during the day, yes, but, well, at night it is basically all men. Her face gleamed at that. He dreadfully wonders what has happened all of a sudden. He thinks that she has never come to her work before. Maybe after the incident with her father, she is anxious to be alone. He wonders if she is still having a hard time. He thinks that her father left her in his care, so he has to be responsible. He asks after this if she maybe wants to go somewhere. She asks if he has finished his shift and if it is for a change of pace. She says that it is fine. He says that they could not take their time at the movies the other night, so if it makes her feel any better. She exclaims that he is right and they should go. In her mind, she is thinking that it is a date. She apologizes saying she left the house unlocked and she does not have the keys. He replies that he wants to go home and change anyway, so it is fine. They go to an aquarium. Looking at penguins, Nina squeals that they are so cute. He thinks that she is energetic, which is good. He turns to her and says that by the way, there is something different about her today. She grabs her hair and says that she woke up early so she curled it. He says that he does not know if he should say this, but doesn't it really suit her? Though he says that her normal look is good too. She asks if it is better this way. He smiles and says that he thinks so. Her eyes envelope in heart as she thinks that he thinks she is also cute normally. She hesitantly asks if he does not want a girlfriend. He pauses and looks away. He replies in a small no. He says that he has not thought about it much, but she argues that Ao-san loves Nina. She asks what if he could date the person behind Nina. She questions wouldn't that make him happy. He mumbles about the person behind and asks if she is talking about herself. She exclaims at that but replies that it was just for an example. She asks if he could date her, will he? She looks at him desperate for an answer but he wonders if he would go out with Nina-san. In the end, he replies that it is impossible. She asks him why and he replies that it is because Nina-san is a minor. He says that it is already not a good thing they live together, even though they have her father's permission now. He states that dating her is another thing entirely. He sweats as he waits for her reaction but she only lets out a laugh and says that she is glad he does not dislike her. But she points out that she heard that adults and high schoolers can date so long as they both consent. She pulls out her phone and starts searching. She pulls up an article about it that has the headline of, "Is dating between an adult and a young adult is a crime?" She starts to say that just now she said it was for example. But she tells him that she really but he says that minors and adults are not the same. He says that it is not okay for various reasons. He states that even if they both agreed, he asks what would the people around them say. He says that people do not take well to that kind of thing. and even if she says it is an agreement, he does not think anyone will believe it. Her eyes widen as she looks at him and remembers what he told her, that somehow the word had gotten around that he had been the one to cheat on her. He says that he told the truth but nobody believed him. She apologizes to him and says that she was being super selfish right now, and she did not consider his feelings. She guiltily apologizes for that, but she tells him to forget about it just now and pretend that she did not ask anything. She grabs his hands in between hers and says that instead, she will do it properly. She requests for him to let her say it one more time when she turns 18. She lets go of his hands and apologizes for holding his hand. He says that it is not that. He asks if she is turning 18 this year and if her birthday the same as Nina's. He says that it is not and it is next month. He has a smile on his face but he is internally panicking that it is close. Checking is Nina's father if it went well. He loosens his tie and says that it did not go well. She told him that he said he would definitely succeed if he started a business. She says that she even quit the company with him. He told her that she just needed to wait a little longer. She says that this is already a waste of her time. She suggests that they should break up. She lets out a huge sigh and says that if it was going to be like this, she should have chosen Aoba. She looks at the photo of him on her phone. Nina wonders out loud if dating is necessary. She asks is being a friend not better for them. She says that she just likes being his friend. That is what she told Mei-kun. She says that she has got other things she wants to do now, so she tells him that she does not really want a boyfriend or anything like that. He thinks if it is really impossible, he wishes she would just say so. He asks if she is going anywhere tomorrow. He asks if it is her birthday. He asks if she is not going out and doing something every year. She does not reply but gazes at her phone with love-struck eyes. The chat was open and he asked her if she has a favorite cake, and she replies that she likes everything. He nudges her for an answer and she replies that she has plans. He looks up from his books and realization hits him. He exclaims that she has plans with that guy from before. Lightning struck him as he saw her smiling at her phone with the most loving gaze he had ever received. Then she is suddenly pulled out of her haze. She calls out behind him and realizes that he is gone, outside of his school with his bag slinged in his back. He wonders what on earth he is doing. He was so shocked he unconsciously left school early. Then he thinks that he will skip class like this. He looks at his phone and yells it is because of him, and she has got to be kidding him. He says that he knew he should have reported him back then, but he can't do that right now. Her smiling image comes to his mind again. He decides to quit thinking that this is ridiculous. He has never seen her face like that before. He realizes that that is the face she will make for the person she likes. He wonders what kind of thing would make a high schooler happy. The seller as if she could help him to find anything. She stammers that he is all right. He thinks that if he does not pick something soon, the staff might start pressuring him. He thinks that she said they would talk when she turns 18. Next time he will have to answer her properly. She thinks that she said she would talk to him when she turned 18. And she wonders if it is okay to do it right on her birthday. She wonders if she will trouble him. She desperately thinks that she does not want there to be a weird mood on her birthday. She decides that she will not bring it tomorrow, and thinks that they should have fun instead. That is what she was thinking at least. Then she wondered why did she end up like this. She was right on top of a very flustered Miyagi. She wonders how did it ended up like this, and Miyagi instantly thinks that this is not right. Earlier that day, he thought today is Nina-san's birthday. They decided to celebrate at home. He gave her a present. They ate cake together. After that suddenly, Nina-san started acting strangely. She looked red in the face and suddenly jumped on top of him. And that brings the story to now. Ni was lying down with Nina on top of him as he wondered what in the world is going on with Nina-san. He thinks that he has seen something like this before, back when he had his old job at drinking parties. He thinks that it is almost like dealing with a senpai who has a bad drinking habit. He looked at the cake and his mind instantly went to sake. The seller had told him that this cake had Western liquor in it and requested him to be careful around children and those who have intolerance. Her words echoed in his mind now. He thinks that is it. He apologizes to Nina and says that it is because he did not think about it when he was buying the cake. But instead of listening to him, he tells him that she loves him as her dress comes off one of her shoulders. His mind desperately wonders what he should do. Then he turns his head thinking that this is the kind of thing someone would say when they are drunk. He says that even though she is 18, she is still a high school student. She exclaims this again and tells him that they are not talking about that right now. She states that they could not date before because she was a minor. Now she demands that he answer her as an adult. She asks him what he thinks of her. She urged for him to tell her his feelings. He starts to think about his feelings, but suddenly she murmurs that she is tired and falls asleep on top of him. He asks if she just said that she is sleepy. She replies that she did not sleep at all last night. She is not sure why, but she was looking forward to tomorrow so much that she couldn't sleep. He tells her that if she wants to sleep she should sleep on the futon. He thinks that she is finally asleep while she is snoring on top of him. He thinks I love you is so easy to say. She gets up with her rumpled hair the next morning. She does not remember anything after she ate that cake, and she wonders why is Ao-san sleeping in the corner like that when she sees him bundled up in the corner of the room wrapped in a comforter. She wonders why did he not sleep over on the futon with her. She silently took her place beside him and leaned on the wall. She thinks that it was her birthday after all. She softly rests her head on his shoulder, but suddenly there was a knock on the door that startled her. She wondered if it was the game she ordered the other day. In that case, she guessed she could go out. She opens the door to find Shiking standing there. Nina realized that it was not the delivery person. She dreadfully contemplates that this person is maybe. But before she could think any further, the woman before her spoke up that, such a young girl. She wonders out loud if his tastes have changed. She says that she knows he was dumped by an older woman, but she asks isn't this a bit extreme? Aoba suddenly emerges from behind the door to meet her cheeky smile with an expression of unhealed grief. She says that it has been a while. He calmly asks her why, after all this time. He states that they have nothing to talk about. She tells him not to be so cold. She starts to say something about their past, but Miyagi interrupts her and tells her to wait a minute. He tells her that they should not talk about that here. Nina looked at him worriedly. He slams the door in her face and says that he will be out in a minute. Inside he apologizes to Nina and states that he is going out for a while. He says that there is some cake in the fridge from yesterday. He tells her to eat some if she is hungry. He is ready to walk out, but then he feels a hand grabbing his clothes from behind. He turns around in surprise only to meet Nina's concerned gaze. She lets go of his clothes and apologizes, saying that it was nothing. He is silent for a minute before saying that he will be back as soon as possible. Nina thinks about that woman. She muses that no matter how she thinks about it, that is his ex-girlfriend. She dreadfully thinks that that's Ao-san's type of girl. Black hair in a bob, very adult-like atmosphere, calm plain dress. She thinks that they are completely different. Nina on the other hand has long dyed brown hair and patterned clothes, and she is a high school student. She frowns deeply. She clutched her own body pillow and desperately thought that maybe his tastes had changed since then. She remembers he said that a lot of things happened when the two broke up, and it was hard. But then she remembers that he also said that he got dumped so to quit his job. She stops her screeching and says that this means he loves her a lot. She wonders with tears in her eyes if he still loves her. She asks him if he thinks he will go out with her again. She buries her head in the pillow and cries why did she have to show up now. At the family restaurant, Nagi asked if she was his girlfriend, and she commented that she looked quite young. He looks away and instead of answering, he asks why did she come here today. She smiles and asks if he is not going to answer her question. She says that the age difference is not a problem if they are both okay with it. However, she says that maybe he should not take it too seriously. She says that when he is at that age, the guys around him are still kids. She says that older guys can seem like nice guys. She asks what if that changes. Miyagi interrupts her crude statement as he sternly states that he knows that much. But Nagi only looks at him more condescendingly. He continues that due to some circumstances, she is in his care right now. She asks is that right, then suddenly she asks why don't they give it another shot. Him and her. She smiles satisfied with herself while Miyagi looks like lightning has struck him. He remembered that night when she had called out to him and with mild annoyance asked if he was listening. He smiles and says that he is listening, and tells her that she heard from her father. She replies that he has been nagging her about getting married for a while. She says that she told him she had a boyfriend on his way to success. She tells Aoba that he asked when he was coming to introduce himself. He asks if she actually talks about him like that. She states that it is okay because it is true, but she says that Aoba does not like it. She asks him why don't he come and introduce himself to her parents. She says that at her age, she should really think about marriage. And Aoba is still young, so she is fine with it. He endearingly replies that if she wants to. She gives him a smile and says that of course she wants to. He loved Nagi-chan's smiling face. He did actually pay her parents a visit. He wanted to do anything for her. He did her best at work. But one day Nagi had asked him how long is he going to live in this apartment. He replies that living here isn't so bad. The rent is cheaper so he can save more. He says that he will move out in a year or so and they can. She nonchalantly agrees with him. Then she asks him if he plans to stay with the company forever. She says that some people quit their jobs and start their own businesses. She asks if he had thought about it. He replies that he has not, and says that he is satisfied with where he is working now. She says that this is just how Aoba is. Later when he was working late he thought he had not been able to spend time with Nagi-chan recently. He wonders if wasn't she out of the office today. In the chats, he told her that he heard she took the day off and asked if something had happened. She replied that she had a slight fever this morning. He questioned if she was all right and if he should stop by on his way home. She wrote that it was okay, the fever had gone down. She says that he is tired so he does not have to come. He worriedly muses, is it really okay? Nagi-chan's fridge is always full of nothing but alcohol. He thinks that he should at least bring her some food. He rings the doorbell of her house, but instead of her, some other guy opens the door who seems just as surprised to see Miyagi. Dread sets in when he sees her calmly sitting in her bed with clothes that are barely covering her. Later at the cafe, she asks if he is serious and tells him that he can't keep doing what he has been doing. She says that Aoba may be okay with it, but she is not, so she wants to break up. She asks if he does not think something is wrong since he is being cheated on. She asks why is he doing this and asks if he is saying he still loves her. Then at present, he sits quietly in front of her as she asks him to give him another shot. With his back hunched, he hesitantly tells her that he can't. He tells her that he can't start over with Nagi-chan and that there is nothing he can do for her. Besides, he is working part-time now. He says that he does not think he can meet her expectations. She scrolls through her phone and with a smile replies that she is sure Aoba could get one in no time. She knows someone who is looking for a system engineer. She says that she told him about Aoba and he said he would like him to come in. He apologizes again and she pauses in shock. Then she says that she has just one request. She says that her parents are not happy that he and her broke up. That also after he met with them and everything. She states that they said they thought they were going to get married, but he went and broke up with her. So she asks why don't he meet up with them and explain it. He tries to argue saying why does he need to, but Nagi claps her hands together interrupting her and saying that she just knew he would say that. And thanks him. She gets up and says that she will contact him again about the date. When Aoba tries to tell her to wait a minute, but she puts a bill on the table, promises to see him soon, and takes her leave. He glares at the empty seat in front of him and puts his head in his hands. He mutters that he is tired and wonders what is he doing. He knows that he did not have to talk to her and he could have given her a good reason to leave. If he had done that, he would not have made Nina-san look like that. He glares at his own side of the table. Come to think of it, while he was talking to Nagi-chan, he kept thinking of Nina-san. He backtracks his thoughts and muses that if he is thinking about Nina, that is understandable. At home, Nina is desperately clutching on the body pillow and perks up when she hears the doorbell ring. She walks to the door as he walks in and apologizes for being so late. The relief on her face could not be described as she welcomed him home. She says that thought he would want some cake too. She walks in front of him and says that she has not eaten yet, so why don't they eat together? He replies that he will eat with her. He looks at Nina's poster shyly. She holds the key with both of her hands and asks if this is a duplicate. She turns to him and questions if she can have it. He replies that she can and he knows that it will be inconvenient for her. He says that he was actually going to give it to her yesterday. She completes for him saying that she fell asleep first. She says that she only remembers up until she ate the cake. He starts to say something about that, but she asks if said something. He immediately says that it was nothing in particular. He thinks that she does not even remember that. He remembers her face over him when she made her confession. Nina hesitantly starts that woman from before. He replies that she was someone that he used to date and that is all there is to it. He states that there is nothing between them now. That is why. Again he stops and says that it is nothing. He gets up and says that he will go and do the dishes. She watches him leave silently and plops onto her body pillow. He stares down at the sink with a red face. He wonders what is going on with him. At school, a boy tells Nina that he has been curious about her for a long time. Another says that they are all graduating this year. The next one says that now is the time to be making memories together. Another shyly says that he would be happy if they could hang out and get to know each other better. She cluelessly asked if is this some kind of a punishment game going around. He looks shocked, but she continues that this is the third time today she has been told the same thing. The boy blushes and says that though it is true that he has had his eye on her for a while. He says that she is always with that boy from class D. She thinks about Mei-kun as the boy states that that's why it's hard to talk to her. He had texted her saying that he was not coming over today because he is meeting with a classmate, so he would not be able to go home with her for a while. She thinks that it is true that she has not been with Mei-kun much recently. The boy in front of her waves his hands defensively and says that he is not asking you out or anything. He says that he was just hoping they could start as friends. She replies that if it is just as friends, it is fine. He says that in that case, he asks her if she knows that there is a fireworks show coming up. She looks at him intrigued expression and he thinks that that seems to have worked. He says that on the first Sunday of summer vacation. She exclaims that it is next week. and smiles widely thinking that it is so soon. He suggests exchanging contact info, but she leaves after thanking him for the info. He looks at the empty space in question. At home, Miyagi is talking to Nagi on call. He tells her that he does not like it and he did not say that he was going. He asks if this is really the last time, then fine. He asks about time and the book is for the next Sunday. Nina Chiri announces that she is home and enthusiastically suggests that they should go to the fireworks show. He replies that he will go with her but asks when is it. She replies that it is next Sunday, which makes him pause and he thinks next Sunday of all days. She looks at him pausing, so she asks if that maybe he had other plans, but he states that it is fine and he will change the date, and it is not urgent. She bluntly asks if is it a meeting with that woman from the other day. He does not reply. She looks down and says that it is fine. She says that he promised her first. She says that she is sure there are other fireworks shows they can go to, and says that it is not his fault. She suddenly grabs her shoulders and yells that she is wrong. He says that he did not think that he would see her again, but he promises that this is the last time. He states that it is really not that important. That is why he says that he wants to go to the fireworks show with Nina-san. Then he lets go of her shoulders and apologizes, but she holds his hands and intertwines his fingers. He looks at his hand and blushes. She asks if he is running errands that day. He says that that's the plan. Then she says that they will meet up at the fireworks show afterward. She says that she will wait for him, but then she says that on the day of the fireworks she will tell him. She leans her head on his chest and requests him to answer her properly. Yaotome was with his friends when one of the guys suggested that they should go to the fireworks festival next week. The other one whines and asks if it is just guys. Next one tells his friends to invite a girl. They asks Yaotome what is he doing. He asks if Yaotome has any plans, but without looking up from his phone he replies that he will go. He is free then. The group starts discussing what girls should they invite. Another guy teases saying that if Yaotome is there, will we even need to? But Yaotome internally thinks that much rather go with someone he likes. At the meeting with Naga's parents, her father mentions that there is going to be a fireworks show around here tonight. He suggests that they should all go together after this, but Nagi apologizes saying that he has plans. Her mother replies that that's a shame. Her father says that even though it has been so long since they have last been able to see each other, he says that he was surprised when his daughter told them that he suddenly broke up with her. He apologizes for that and says that he did not even tell them both. Her mother laughs and says that it is all right and adds that she is glad the two made up. He looks at her inquisition, but she does not seem to have noticed. She asks if there were a lot of misunderstandings, weren't there? She says that she is glad there was an opportunity. Their daughter is old enough to begin to worry. She expresses that she was so relieved when she heard the two were getting married. He looks at Nagi, who pointedly avoids looking at him.